13 live from Cologne, Germany. And now it's time for our Challenger Series finals between KMT and the Copenhagen Wolves. Now, the winner of this game will earn a spot in the European LCS Spring Promotion Tournament, a massive prize.
I think both of us can really agree that Copenhagen Wolves, they're the favorites of this tournament. Even though TCM did take them down back in Tenerife, they were still looking strong, and they have that star player Reckless on the team. But Kautard, he went 27-9 and 31 in those 3 games. He played Cassidy, he played Lissandra, he played Ari, and that was phenomenal because he played obviously in the spring qualifiers with Copenhagen Wolves when he was back with Bjergsen, now at NIP, and he wasn't extremely as impressive, but it shows he's been working on himself as this time's gone on. Youngbuck even went 7-7 and 31 in his 3 games with Renekton, with Shen, with Zaka kind of combined him there. And he's been doing a great job of just assisting everyone, not necessarily pick up the kills, but doing a great job. And they got that very needed revenge against TCM game. They had to feel so good about that in that best of 3.
Yeah, and while it did take them 3 games to actually take down TCM, on the other side, we saw KMT absolutely sweeping away AT Gaming in just 2 matches to earn their spot in this championship game.
Yeah, the thing is, KMT, they look strong across the board. They took their time each match. They went a little bit slow, but they wanted to secure that win because with what's at stake. Overpow, who we used to see him back at Intel Extreme Masters in Singapore, he went 6-3 and 15 as Karthus and Ryze in those games. We saw Super Ace, who was on Sona pretty much both of them, went 5-5 and 24, and in game number 2, he had 100% kill participation.
Yeah, and coming into this Challenger final, both KMT and the Copenhagen Wolves are very familiar with one another and with what they need to do to come out on top against their rivals.
We played versus KMT when they were Annexes or ex-Annexes at the Tenerife qualifiers.
We played a lot versus the Wolves. We know their picks, we know their strength and weakness.
The most dangerous player in KMT is Overpile,
because he likes to teleport a lot and make plays for the other lanes.
The key to the win against Copenhagen Wolves is to just break the protection that they have for Reckless and just pick some AoE compositions.
We have backups plans if we lose the first game, but I think that shouldn't happen since we have focused a lot on the Champions Select lately and trying to win the game already there, because kind of 20% of the game is already in the Champions Select.
I think they are under the pressure, like it's one of their last matches with Reckless. So I guess we just have to play our game and wait for their mistakes they will come.
We want to win this because we desperately want to play in their relegations and try to get into the LCS.
We deserve to win because we are better than Copenhagen Wolves.
If we win today, I'll probably hug everyone in the team and tell them I love them.
And technically, wouldn't that be a wolf hug? Not just because he plays for Wolves, because also he is quite a burly, wolfy kind of man. Either way, let's move on from that terrible joke and look at the starting lineups here today. And on the blue side is, of course, KMT. Now, in the top lane, there are Zazas. In the jungle, 760. Mid lane, Overpow. AD carries is Silver, and the support, Super Ace.
Of course, in that red corner for the Copenhagen Wolves, we're going to have Youngbuck in that top lane, Shook V2 in the jungle, Kautard in that middle lane, Reckless as AD carry, and Unlimited as support.
And the battle between those 2 AD carries is our featured matchup of today. And now KMT's Silver versus Copenhagen Wolves' Reckless is a big, big matchup for this one.
Yeah, and Reckless, I mean, he is clearly the star player for Copenhagen Wolves. He's always been that man that every team tries to shut down, and he's already signed with Fnatic right now. He's currently on loan to the Wolves, and he went 10-8 and 16 in his 3 games yesterday. But it's not an impressive score, but what was really big about it was the fact that he drew in so many ganks in this bottom lane. He kind of got shut down, but because of that focus there, Kautard was able to carry middle. Youngbuck was able to do really well top lane, and that really carried them through the game. Selliver, on the other hand, he put up some really solid numbers. He went 6-4 and 12 in his 2 games. His Caitlyn wasn't shut down in the qualifiers, and it wasn't shut down yesterday. And him and Super Ace were constantly aggressive bottom, and they outfarmed their opponents each time. And the big thing is, if KMT wants to be able to earn their spot in the promotion tournament next year, their bottom lane of Selvar and Super Ace needs to be able to deal with Reckless and Unlimited. Yeah, and we see this a lot. A lot of teams, when they go up against the Copenhagen Wolves, they say Reckless is the man. As we said, Fnatic player, actually, technically, on loan here to the Copenhagen Wolves, which is, well, in terms of loan signings, I guess, in League of Legends, probably the best signing that you could make right now in Europe. And that's just something that happens. People camp out, or at least try to camp out Reckless in each game. But we're going to get into Champion Select here. Okay, so we already do have some bans coming in, and I wouldn't be surprised to see something targeted at Reckless right off the bat. I mean, his edge was phenomenal, and so was his Tristana.
Well, first 2 bans coming out here. KMT deciding to get rid of that Evelyn. Of course, aimed thoroughly at Shook V2. We've seen him already playing some of that Evelyn in the past. Elise taken out here, Zed taken out. Both very powerful champions. Zed obviously aimed thoroughly towards Overpower, who we saw in the qualifiers coming big on Zed.
Yeah, you just heard in the video from the Copenhagen Wolves that they have to shut Overpower down. They don't want to let him get any champions as resets. They know he's most likely going to run teleport, just like Char from Mitri Makers, and they wanted to take away that Zed, which could be just such a devastating champion as we saw yesterday.
Just a side note here, Lissandra is actually banned today, not able to be played because of a problem with her, so that's taken out of the equation when it comes to the bans and the picks, so don't forget that as we go forward. Twisted Fate banned out here, Twisted Fate banding out here, Twisted Fate banned out. That's pretty standard stuff. Lee Sin taken away here as well from Shook, who is another phenomenal Lee Sin player. Also is Evelyn banned out here. On the other side, Zach was the final ban for the Copenhagen Wolves.
Yeah, we did see Zaz's played him yesterday, and you kind of want to, actually sorry, it wasn't Zaz, that was actually 760 playing the jungle, but I'm kind of a little bit surprised by KMT's bans, just a little bit, because it's very similar to exactly what they banned out yesterday when they were playing against AT Gaming. But I mean, if it worked the first time, why not keep using it right now? And that Zach 760, he didn't really pull off a lot of ganks in his game yesterday versus AT Gaming with it, but he was always there reacting. He was always there in time to kind of turn a gank around and really kind of maybe pull a kill back or stop a kill from happening.
Yeah, and the first actual pick here is going to be Vayne, and a very highly contested pick these days. We all know how Vayne is, how strong she is, especially when it comes to those late game situations.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of teams not afraid to first pick her. Like the team that comes to mind is SK Gaming. They took that for Candy Pen at every possible time over the past couple of weeks, and for good reason, hit a 16.4 KDA on her, and we're going to see Celaver have his chance at it, which leads me to believe that we're going to have a lane swap already coming in for them. They want to give that Vayne that free lane to farm.
Well, it leaves a lot open, and when you look through the bans, the likes of Shen, Jarvan has come through here again, and I think Jarvan, I'm going to go off record here without actually knowing if this is factually correct, the most picked champion yesterday, because we saw a ton of Jarvan. I think 90% of games must have been a rough estimate for what we saw from Jarvan yesterday. He was really often picked, let's say that.
For good reason. I mean, as you were saying yesterday, we're both talking about that, his early game is so strong. His ganks are ridiculous with that EQ combo, and then late game with that Cataclysm, you can protect your team so well. You can also zone their AD carry very well.
So, what are we going to see on the other side? Of course, Thresh was the other pick there for the Copenhagen Wolves, so that's going to go over to Unlimited, the support player. And what are KMT now going to add into this vein? Looks like we could see a Nasus and Renekton. Now, this combo they ran yesterday in their second semi-final game against AT Gaming.
Yeah, and they didn't really go for any sort of early Baron. I was kind of expecting because of the double ultimates out of them just do ridiculous damage, but the whole combo, that pseudo-tankiness that you get out of that ultimate out of nowhere is really strong for a team, and with the aggression of both of them, it kind of gives Vayne a really easy time in these team fights. And we do have to keep in mind, I believe Copenhagen Wolves chose the red side on this team because they want to be able to counterpick Overpower.
Well, it makes sense right from the very get-go. They highlighted in that video earlier on that Overpower is probably the strong link in this KMT lineup. If they can get him out of the game, then they can possibly win it. Although Overpower himself did also say that they're better than the Copenhagen Wolves, so they expect to win this one. But that's another thing as well. So on the other side, we are going to see a Shen coming through now. Youngbuck with Shen is a terrifying opponent, although, you know, Renekton is one of his big champions in there as well, so he's going to know what he's going up against. Renekton and Shen, a pretty standard top lane matchup that we see often enough. Twitch was here picked then as well as the AD carry, of course, going over to Reckless.
And Reckless is one of the most aggressive AD carriers I think I've ever seen. Like I was saying before, his Ezreal Tristana back in Tenerife, he would always go in. He wasn't even worried about, you know, kind of escaping, depending on his flash if he really needed it. And Twitch can be one of those champions in the early game, but obviously late game, with that Jarvan, with the Thresh, with the Shen, you have a lot of protection, and that spray and pray is going to shred a team down. And I do have to correct myself. Actually, KMT chose the blue side on this, so that was actually in the wildcard games.
You were just, you know, theorizing why this situation came around, but it doesn't matter by now. So on the other side, we are going to be seeing a Karthus come down, which Overpower again played yesterday. Took a lot of time to get going, to be honest, but in the end was very, very dangerous. Looks like we could see a Sona support as well coming out from Super Ace, and we all know what his crescendos have done in the past.
Yeah, I really like how you pointed out Overpower's Karthus, because he had a lot of questionable ultimates too, that we saw. Just some random ultimates that really didn't do anything. It really didn't stop a turret from going down. It didn't make a team stop pushing. But the thing is, he farmed like a beast on his Karthus. Like he had so much damage at the end. He was at 600 AP. Like one time we checked in the game, that was about 25-30 minutes in. So really hard to deal with. But you know, right now with that Jarvan, with that Shen, they can keep him away from the backline of Copenhagen Wolves to stop, you know, Reckless from obviously being killed.
Well, that's the back line. Let's talk about the front line here. Kassadin was the final pick coming out, and we all know how Kautar, how he's performed even yesterday with that Kassadin, and how he's done in the past with that one, and that is going to be a big pick for them here.
Yeah, and what's so funny, I think I mentioned a little bit earlier, back in the spring qualifiers, he played pretty much only Zyra. That was like his main champion middle, and for him to be able to expand his champion pool, pull out the Karthus and do so well, he went 14-1 in that game yesterday. That really makes you appreciate how much work he's put in to trying to get back into the LCS.
So, two very big teams aiming for a even bigger prize, to be honest, that promotional tournament, which everyone, of course, wants to be in. All the teams outside of the LCS want to be in the LCS. They want to earn a living from playing the game that they love, and this is the first step in that direction. So, a big prize on the line for this single best of 3.
And not to mention, right now, I pretty much guarantee SK's watching this match, just kind of getting prepared, getting a feel up, because they do get to pick who they play against. They're not first pick, but they do get to pick between the last 2 teams. And yeah, I mean, you probably don't want to go against either of these, as you know, Nexus back then, KMT, they've already qualified 2 times now, looking for their 3rd, and Copenhagen Wolves with Reckless on the team, it's really hard to kind of go against.
Yeah, it's a hard decision for, you know, it also almost feels like, okay, we get to pick who we play against, but that might not necessarily really be what you want, because you're kind of picking yourself into a hard decision either way around. So you can at least decide who you feel most comfortable against, but we are going to be getting into the game here. We are, of course, in map number 1 of KMT versus the Copenhagen Wolves here in the grand final of the Spring Promotional Qualifier Tournament. And we'll see what happens here down towards level 1. The likes of that Threshold, Jason, going to be very dangerous for KMT at the start.
Yeah, not to mention when you have a Shen taunt to potentially follow that up. So that would be really dangerous for anyone in KMT to really go for a face check. And they have a decent team level 1, but they have no hard CC that Copenhagen's Wolves do have. So I'm pretty sure they're just going to play a little bit safe, just make sure they defend their side of the jungle. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if both teams really do that, because remember, it's a best of 3, and they're both competing for that chance to go into the promotion tournament.
So let's have a look here then. Level 1. What are we going to see from things? Copenhagen Wolves right now headed towards the top side of the map. Are they going to try and go through for a later invade on towards that blue? We can see that Zazas is actually waiting here inside of the brush, and as they go in there, Youngbot going to spot him, but Zazas backing straight away. So KMT at least know that Copenhagen Wolves have a big squad moving up towards this blue area.
And if KMT is going to respond, they're probably going to try to go for that blue buff for Copenhagen Wolves. However, they do have a lot of wards down. They would be able to spot them crossing that river, and they have to be very careful of that. But in the meantime, Wolves, they just ward it up and back away, so they just want to at least be able to see where 760 is going.
So a very scary start, I think, from both sides here. Kind of aggressive from the Copenhagen Wolves to, you know, take all 5 men and just plant them in there. Also the safest way, I suppose, to get those wards down earlier on. And they are going to get that vision on the blue, but it seems like KMT going to be happy here with that red buff start. 760 is there with the rest of his team, going to get a big amount of help here as well to do that red, which is going to speed his overall path.
He's got to be careful of that poison that could potentially steal it away, but I was saying before the champion select, I was expecting to see Silver and Super Rays go into a 2v1 lane, and they're going to get it, but not where I thought it was going to be. They're going to be going middle here, and they're actually sending Overpow bottom, so they're trying to get Overpow away from Kautar so he doesn't get 1v1 and completely shut down at that level 6 point, and they're still trying to give that free lane over to Vayne.
So let's have a look here. We see Unlimited hanging around by the blue buff, basically just causing annoyance to 760 right now. And they're in full vision, actually a pink ward put down there very early, so they want to get rid of all of that vision that they had in there. Now I'm going to see Jarvan coming around, throws the flag in there, but in the end, did he just manage to steal that away?
Nope, Shook got that. He was able to outsmite him at least.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Shook got that. Or do you mean 760?
Sorry, 760. I just got it.
Now you're just throwing me off as well. So all good from KMT. That's the important part.
And right now, I really want to see how these lanes develop, because you have Zaz at the top in the 1v2. You have Overpow trying to kind of counter Kautar right in the beginning. I think it's at that level 6 point. Couch will be able to jump on top of him, do a good amount of damage, and still be able to back away. So it's going to be very hard for him to do anything, and I wouldn't really be surprised to see KMT push an early turret down, maybe middle, just to give him that potential to get out of that lane and get some free farm.
So, hey, quiet starts things. An attempt to invade is actually, we are going to see the Ignite coming down here on towards Kautar. Auto attack coming out of Karthus there, and well, both players using their flash and not really a lot happening from that one. I mean, Overpower's managed to force Kautar out of the lane there, but he's also going to have to go himself back from that one, as we are going to see now Celiver taking a little bit of pressure from the Copenhagen Wolves. Shook, though, not able to get in for the knockup.
I think bottom, if Kautar didn't level right there off those minions, he would have died. That Ignite would have been able to take him down, and that would have been first blood for Overpower, who's really trying to make his stamp on the lane because he knows a little bit later he won't be able to. And then we even saw Reckless and Unlimited come down from that top side to actually go for a gank, and they're going to be rotating the lanes yet again as we see the AD carry support go bottom. We're going to see Overpower middle here in this 1v2, which he'll benefit from a little bit more than he would against Kautar.
So let's have a look at the early CS. Funnily enough, quite a big lead already for Reckless there. Look at that, 27 to 17, now 18 CS. So been a really good early start from that one. So we are seeing those switches coming in. It looks like the Copenhagen Wolves want to keep this 2v2 up down at the bottom as they switch out once again.
See, I don't think it's the 2v2 they want. It's the 1v1 middle that they want against Overpower. They really want to shut him down, because if a Karthus can free farm, which we already know Overpower can do, as we saw yesterday, then he becomes so hard to deal with that insane ability power, not to mention if he just flashes into the middle of your team, it can really shut down some people.
So a pensive start. We are in a best of 3, let's not forget. And this is something that we see often in the first game of a best of 3, because you win the first game and you give yourself so much more breathing room in the overall picture of that best of 3. It means then you have 2 games to actually close things out come the end of it. So always an important one, and therefore we generally see some slower starts of things. We are going to see Nasus coming down now towards his bottom lane. Reckless just going to stealth himself up from that one. Spirit Fire comes down, but not really a problem for the Copenhagen Wolves.
And the thing is, with all this switching of lanes that the Copenhagen Wolves and both KMT's been doing, it means there's no wards bottom for either supports right now. I mean, you do have one obviously in that bush in River from Super A's, but right now Copenhagen Wolves have nothing down there, so 760 has the ability to keep going for ganks there, but I mean, obviously with a Twitch, you can stealth up. If you don't bring a pink ward to the party, you're not going to be able to pick up a kill.
And we are going to be seeing them recalling on that bottom lane. So we are going to see Kautar as well, possibly in a little bit of trouble. The Wither actually down onto him. Let's not forget, he doesn't have that flash. There's a knockup coming out from Chuck, and Kautar getting the slow out there as well. And he's able to just walk on out of that one. That was dangerous times for Kautar, but reacted nicely to it as well.
Yeah, and I mean, all he just knows, get to level 6, you'll be fine. And it was a good job by Shook to actually come down to that lane in time to be able to save him. The pressure of him just showing up deterred 760 and Overpower away for committing to that game.
So this top lane, as I said earlier on, Renekton versus Shen, not exactly the most action-packed lane out there. These two are both going to be farming up to the max. Renekton, we saw yesterday from Xyzos, did an incredible job of it as well. See if we can replicate that here in today's grand final. And the bottom, Reckless has now come back into lane, picked himself up that Vamp Scepter and the Boots of Speed at the very start. Is on his first buy.
Yeah, he really needs that Vamp Scepter as well, because if he gets harassed at all by the bottom lane of KMT, he's not going to be able to heal up without that item, and he's against a sustained lane with that Sona, so he's definitely going to need that longevity. And I really want to point out Youngbuck. He's been doing a great job. He was down quite a bit in CS, but he's been able to catch up, and you're looking at it right now like, yeah, he's down CS, but there was a large wave pushed up against his turret. And it looks like Shook, knowing that the flash is still down from Overpower, wants to go for a gank here middle.
Yeah, doesn't get in there, and actually I think they could be able to do this one there. We are going to see Wall of Pain go down, but Kautar is level 6, of course, and can Rift walk in there. This is going to be the kill, or is it? Overpower managing to turn around. First blood does come down, but Kautar taking a lot of damage from this one. There is Shen coming down as well, who's now level 6. 760 flashing there, well, that won't get him out of trouble, and Youngbuck going to pick up the second one, and just like that, the Copenhagen Wolves starting off flying.
And that was a great game too, because it was right before Overpower got 6. If he was 6 there, he would have been able to kill Kautar, would have been able to turn that around, but a great double kill coming in. And now, Youngbuck, who was level 6, was able to save Kautar right there, so that gives him such a strong start. He gets the 2 assists off of that. Youngbuck getting obviously 1 kill and return to lane with that Giant's Belt, and then Shook's gonna be very happy with that kill as well. It might mean that he actually would rush Boots and Mobility just to get around the map a little bit quicker and provide some more gains.
Well, we see that Shokia just pushing that lane up onto the turret, trying to deny Overpower as much farm as he possibly can, but now that he's back in lane, shouldn't really have too many problems with making sure he's got all that stuff under his belt. So, early buys coming out, both Karthus and Cassidy going for that tier, and also the Ruby Crystal coming out for Kaltard, and now he's going to get that first blue buff pick up of the game.
And we have to remember, Kaltard's running teleport, so he's already very mobile with Cassidy. He's going to have the ability to gank these other lanes, and if he does go bottom, like that's a pretty easy kill on a Sona because she's so squishy, she's so susceptible to ganks and just being killed, especially if you pair that in with a hook from Unlimited. And KMT have to be very careful. We've seen how many times Cassidans can just take a game and just control it themselves, just by getting so many kills. And like we said before, Kaltar was 14-1 yesterday on Cassidon, and if he gets these early kills, if he gets these early items, KMT has to really watch out for it.
So Ruben's going to go over to Overpower. You look at the top lane here, Sazas now has pulled quite that lead against Youngbuck, and you can imagine why. Obviously went down there with Stan United to aid in that last fight, which is going to naturally set him back somewhat, but funnily enough, overall because of the assist and the kill that he's got in there, we are seeing Youngbuck actually with a slight gold lead there anyway.
I love what Zaz has picked up though. The Spectral's power item that he has, it means any Vorpal Blades that come out of Youngbuck pretty much just be healed up right away, just from the regen from that. So he can't really be shoved out of lane. He'll probably go into his Sunfire Cape right after this item, if not go straight for the Spirit Visage, just to kind of sustain a little bit more in lane, and not to mention the amazing cooldown reduction. But surprisingly, we haven't seen much action bottom just yet between these two AD carry support lanes.
And by much action, you mean any action.
Yeah.
Pretty much from there. It has been very quiet, farming up. Reckless has managed to hold on to that lead that he had earlier, 760. Gonna come across, but Reckless just stealthed himself over and says, no, you're not gonna get me from this one. Not quite that easy. But as Jarvan comes down as well, Copenhagen Wolves definitely not worried about keeping that pressure up on the tower.
And the thing is, if he doesn't bring a pink ward to this gank, they're not going to kill Reckless. Like, he has flash to still escape, he has a stealth to get away, and you have to be able to get that slow onto him early on before he can just kind of run away. And Zazas is going proxy Renekton. I love seeing this because he knows that Youngbuck is going to have a decently hard time farming under the turrets. You know, not terrible, but he knows that he's not going to miss any CS on his own, and that forces Youngbuck to really hit everything.
Youngbuck actually just having enough of that one, I think, and actually going for a little bit of damage here on towards Zazas, who certainly took the brunt of that one. This mid lane, we are seeing now level on CS, so Kaltard really got out of that dangerous base where he's only really got his melee action to really rely on. Now that he's up at, above level 6, has that Rift Walk, that's where things become a lot more comfortable for him. Down his bottom lane again. See both Celiver and Unlimited going pretty low. That's Overpower taking damage from Kaltard as well by the Wraiths. And Kaltard probably will be able to take those Wraiths away if he so wishes.
He knows Overpower's playstyle took down to a T. Like, he knew he was gonna go for Wraiths. He wanted to farm those up, and he was there. He responded. He stopped that from happening. He even got Overpower a little bit low. And yeah, I'm definitely surprised he made it through the laning phase. Well, I can't say so easy because he almost did dive bottom once, obviously, and just in that gank we saw earlier on, but usually you expect a Cassidy to be down in farm against any sort of ranged champion middle.
And again, we've not seen any ultimate yet, any Requiem out of Overpower. We talked a little bit about this one yesterday when we saw him. There was some, I think, questionable times to press R from Overpower over the course of that game, but he won it, so in the end didn't really matter anyway. But that's the kind of thing that may come back to cost them a little bit later on in this one, as we are going to see the Copenhagen Wolves move north with a 4-man team for Dragon.
And this is just pure response, seeing Celivar and Super Ace go back to base to buy up as they're coming back with some decent items, but they're going to miss out on this global gold, they're going to miss out on this experience that Dragon gives. And now Wolves, they have the timer of that Dragon, they're going to be able to take it most likely again the next time it's up if they're there first. And this can slowly be a downward spiral if you're KMT, if you let all these objectives go through your hands, if you aren't able to kind of contest them somewhat.
Well, it's a 1,300 gold lead right now that the Copenhagen Wolves have managed to build themselves up. Let's see how that one continues. Celiver now finally getting back in lane for a bit of free farm after Reckless and Unlimited went back. The Cutlass picked up there for Reckless, got those Berserker Greaves in there as well, so he's well on his way to getting that Blade of the Ruin King, certainly a little bit further ahead than what Celiver is right now.
It's going to help with duel a little bit more too. I mean, it gives you that slow that you really need to get away from a Vayne, but when you have a Sona in a lane against you who has that Crescendo to lock you down, it's hard to kind of deal with it. But right now, you even see Kaltar trying to roam around, still has a teleport. And if we see an aggressive ward come out of Unlimited into that second bush, I wouldn't be surprised to see a gank come in.
Look at that, Kaltar running on towards Overpower once again, gives him a little bit of a burst combo. Not really doing too much damage, but with that Karthus, it's all about doing a little bit here, a little bit there, and then diving in basically right at the very end to finish things off, to assassinate him with that Cassidy. Wants to try and force him out of that lane because Kauton himself is going to be going back home now to buy up what I'm guessing is going to come into that Rod of Ages. Yeah, there we go. Castle is picked up on that turn out.
Yeah, I think the problem is that he didn't have the ability power to burst Overpower down or even to consecutively chip him down with him having the Catalyst. He'll be able to regen that up, obviously, but now he's going to be teleporting into bottom lane. He's going to be going in for a gank.
Yeah, going in for the gank here. Super A is going to flash out already. There's the Condemn already coming down, and Youngblood will join the party. Gets the taunt on towards Celeber. He's tanking up now with that Sunfire Cape to go underneath the turret, and Celeber is going to go down. It's actually a double kill that comes in here for Youngblood, and now 760 and Overpower coming in, and they need to be really, really careful here. 760 already down to below half. Will have to completely back out of that fight, but another perfectly executed teleport Stand United combo from Copenhagen Wolves.
That's just what we talked about. I mean, if we saw anything aggressive out of Unlimited, they were gonna go for that. And the thing is, they get a huge kill on the Celevar, so they're gonna stop him from farming up a little bit more. They get the kill on the Sona, who actually didn't use the Crescendo because he knew he was gonna die. And in the meantime, I mean, yeah, we did see Youngblood obviously ulti down in that bottom lane, but Zazas, he really didn't apply much pressure. He has a turret low because he's been leaving so often, but if you can't take the global objective back, you're really kind of missing out on quite a bit of gold. And now, KMT, they're gonna lose a turret for it.
Yeah, that bottom turret there just being cleared out completely and shoved up and taken down right before the turret, before they even got to the turret. And now Kautard putting down the pressure onto this mid lane as well. So overall, the plan that the Copenhagen Wolves certainly had coming into this game is working out brilliantly for them. And there is the first turret of the game going down for the Wolves in the bottom lane.
And just take a look at mid lane right now, because you do see Kautard, he's keeping Overpower's zone really well, and that just shows the threat he's applying by just being there without even going in, without even doing a little bit of damage. And Overpower, he's respecting it, he's keeping up in farm, so that's good for him, but he also doesn't have 4 assists under his belt like his opponent does.
4 assists. Probably would have hoped for at least 1 kill from that last little fight where Youngblood got himself a double, but at the same time, for the same token, that means that the Shen is going to be tankier anyway as things go along, and that's going to be...
Oh no! 760 got that blue.
Yeah, that's not...
That is not good.
That is not what they planned to do from that one, and that's going to deny it from Overpower from his Karthus, who's already having a bit of a tough time, really not being able to be involved with anything when it comes to these fights. And right now we are going to see Youngblood taking some pressure down at the top. He's going to land that Shadow Dash, but is he going to be able to escape from this one? There is the Ignite down, and he's taking a lot of damage. They can certainly go underneath the turret here from this one. Youngblood getting in there, and it will be a finisher from 760. Youngblood being shut down. Reckless actually coming towards his top lane with Thresh now, but can they actually get in there for the damage?
That deadly duo of just the Nasus Renekton with their ultimates pop just shredded him down. They're going to go for this fight here, and Reckless, he can take Zazas down.
Yep, and there is a Flay first box coming in from that one as well. He's saving the hook for later, and the hook actually going to miss there. That was a guaranteed kill if that hook would have landed. As we see Karthus take down the middle outer turret. So now 1 man dead in the top lane. Not the end of the world, certainly from the Copenhagen Wolves. They've managed to get a second turret now. And
they were able to keep those double buffs alive onto 760. That would have been terrible if Reckless was able to pick that up, but Wolves responded by taking a turret middle. And like we've talked about teams who can pick up kills, but if they don't take objective off the back of that, then what's the big deal about the kill? And right now, Wolves, knowing that Youngblood was top lane, was most likely going to die, just went for that push middle, got the turret, and ended up coming out ahead in that fight.
Really nicely done, showing why they are the favourites here in this game. Arguably the tournament as well. I mean, yes, they did lose to TCM obviously over in Tenerife, but I think they've shown in the past the more solid, stable results out of all the challenger teams coming into this one. For me, they definitely have you know, Season 4 LCS Spring split in their sights right now.
Yeah, it's all to them, and if KMT can stop them from getting there. And right now, I mean, with being 4-1 up, 24,000 gold to 22,000. I mean, it's not a huge lead, but if they pick up this next dragon, it'll get even bigger. They're looking to take this first game. Kauton has it, Rod of Ages done. That is stacking up right now. We see Overpower pick his up as well, and right now he's behind Sword Boots. His tier's not going to be as stacked, and his damage is really going to be lacking. We still have yet to see an ultimate come out of him.
A Requiem saved for, I'm not sure what, to be honest. Like, down in this bottom lane, if they would have actually altered a little bit earlier on, it could have forced them away from diving in on towards that turret, but in the end, he wouldn't have got kills from it either way, so decided to save that one out. But no good having that Requiem if you're never going to use it.
Yeah, and I think that's due to the fact that we haven't seen the bot lane be aggressive against each other, because that's usually where you pick up those extra kills. Right now, Counter is getting caught here, but it's a Kassadin.
Yeah, it's a Kassadin. That's the thing, there is no court usually when it comes to Kassadin. It takes like full CC chain to actually lock him down. But KMT, at least doing the damage there, have started to work their way over towards the Dragon. We do have Jarvan there as well, so they're going to be looking for the steal. Super A is going to take the damage. He actually will use that crescendo. Dragon not being finished off here, as well as Shook is going to cataclysm in there. It will be KMT to pick up Dragon, and the Copenhagen Wolves trying to back out of this one. The Flay just going to knock both Nasus and Renekton back away from the fight. Kauton is waiting off to the side, but they're not going to be able to save Unlimited, and that's a kill and the Dragon for KMT.
That was such an aggressive play to them to just go into the middle of that pit when they knew the Wolves were around. They knew that Youngbook had that ultimate to get down to that bottom lane. But it's a fantastic job. They picked up the Dragon, picked up a kill off of that, didn't lose anything for it except maybe this top turret get taken down to half health, and that's exactly what they needed to do, get back in this. Now they're only down 2,000 gold, and they're starting to get the items built up that they need. Zazus has that Sun Card cape. He's really tanky at this point.
Speaking of Sunfire capes, Youngbook doing a really great job on this top inner turret. That's something that KMT are going to have to keep an eye on in the future, that Youngbook has already started this split push as much as he possibly can, and decided obviously that is the way that they want to go with this one. When the opposition are down on the bottom side of the map there by Dragon, obviously the perfect opportunity to do so. But if we look at the gold, that Dragon really bringing KMT back towards the even point. I'm not going to say certainly even by now. And I'm wondering when Kautar's going to start to pick up these kills, because he's got 4 assists, that's all well and good, brilliant stuff for him, but he needs a few kills in there as well.
And I think we might see it coming in soon. Look how many awards we have out of the Wolves into the side of the map of KMT. Not to mention, he has those home guard boots, so if he does teleport in with home guards, you're not going to see him coming, and he'll be able to get a good chunk of damage onto the enemy team. And I think right now, the Wolves are just wanting to finish a couple of items before they start to go for any major engages, because right now, they're only going to get stronger at this point.
That's getting stronger, but KMT are exactly the same, actually. You know, the likes of the Naxos, the Karthus, the Vayne, they're all going to be getting stronger as things go on in this one. So we'll see how that all works out later. Let's have a look at a little bit of this. Yes, Reckless has managed to hold a lead, I think, from the start of the game, really, right from the very get-go, and he still has a 14 CS lead over Celiver right now. So that featured matchup that we talked about earlier on, Reckless, for now at least, winning out on that.
Yeah, he's been able to deal with that quite well, considering he had a lane swap multiple times to finally get the matchup that Copenhagen Wolves wanted overall. Blue hopefully going to be given overpower this time. Hopefully 760 won't be able to take this one away, because he needs it. Like, he really needs it. He's able to get it. So that means you're able to push a little bit more, or more importantly, be able to defend turrets a lot more.
Yeah, that's something that he struggled on, obviously, in that mid lane. Kautar pretty much just zoned him away from that one, stopped any defense coming in from that side of things. That was the second turret, of course, that Copenhagen Wolves took down. Got themselves in third since that point. Bit of pressure here from KMT, coming down towards that middle outer turret, but they shouldn't be really too scared about that right now. I don't think that they can really push in for that one. We are going to see Super 8's going very low. There's a wither down on towards Unlimited. The hook is going to land onto 760, but they decide not to follow through.
And you know, there's one thing I'm seeing from this game. It's stick with me through, because it's a little bit weird, but KMT, they're running like an EG roster back in the day, like back at the start of the Summer Split. And right now, Copenhagen Wolves are running like a new kind of EG roster in terms of the yellow submarine that we always talk about with that Shen, with that Twitch combo. And right now, they haven't really been able to pull that off, and yet they're still keeping up, or actually winning the game currently. And they're still waiting for that right moment to move, where KMT, they don't really have an amazing ability to siege turrets down. If they are, they could easily get engaged upon, because Celiver obviously has a really low attack range. But luckily, you do have a Nasus, so he can push turrets down very quickly.
So Youngbook here moving down that top lane once again. We saw earlier how low he actually got that turret, as we are going to see Kauton here condemned against the wall. Stan United going to come in, but Kauton is going to die before Shen can join the party. And what a start to this one. They're going to try and get down on towards Unlimited, who split off from the rest of the team. Going to sacrifice himself, but But what? A double kill here for the Vayne. That is dangerous stuff. And Celeber obviously going to be getting stronger and stronger as things go on. Youngbuck here hammering on that inner turret. So despite the double kill, we are at least going to see an objective going over for Copenhagen Wolves. But will KMT be able to get this out to mid turret? Don't think so with a Jarvan and Twitch there.
Looks like they're going to try for it though, and that was fantastic out of Celebar. Like that condemn coming on the Cow-Target. As you see the flash crescendo.
Flash crescendo, very aggressive stuff going in, but look at that Cataclysm down. They are tanking up this turret right now. It's Super Ace that's taking that damage. He's managed to actually get away from that one, but we are going to see the teleport coming down. Youngbuck was in there. He managed to pick up that one kill onto Sona, and here comes Kassadin. Overpower is a dead man. He's not going to escape that one. Another double kill for Youngbuck coming in, but look at the chase from Kauton. Celeber going to have to use his barrier, but he's not going to escape this one either. There is the Twitch finisher, and that will be a great turnaround from the Copenhagen Wolves.
I love that call out of him. I mean, Cow-Target with those home guard boots, he decides to, as you do see right now in the replay, you see that flash crescendo come in, you see him block up 3 people inside of that. They're going to be taking the turret here while Reckless is able to just sit in the back with that great use of the Blade of the Rune King to really lock him down. And then the teleport, he calls out to his team, we're going to go in for this. Youngbuck leads the charge as you see him slow overpower. He actually flashes past him because he wants to go over Celebar. They knew they would be able to kill him. He wanted to be able to pick up another kill, and they were able to. It's a fantastic turn considering they lost 2. They're able to defend the turret, they able to got a turret themselves, and took 3 kills.
No, at the same time here, Copenhagen Wolves actually going off towards Byron. We've just seen the Requiem come out, but Zizers going super low and will be finished off here by Youngbuck, who picked up his 6th kill of the game right now. 2-man taunt coming in. There is a knockback onto Super Ace. He's a dead man. First kill of the game for Cow-Target, and the Copenhagen Wolves go back towards the Baron.
In just a matter of 3 minutes, we saw them pick up 5 kills now. They're able to get a turret as well, and right now they're trying to go for Baron, but with Overpower coming in, with Celebar coming in, I'm not sure they can do it. However, they could pick up more kills.
Yeah, they just say, keep coming, guys. We're just going to be killing you as you come around. Cow-Target is going to die there. Overpower will pick up that one. Obviously, doesn't have the Requiem. Youngbuck here going very, very low. There is him going down. It's Nasus that finishes that one off. The poison ticking away will give Reckless a kill, and now they leave this one as the Vayne walks away. So a very sloppy, prolonged fight there up by the Baron.
That was one of those fights for KMT where you lose the first one, and then you go back in with not a full team, you end up losing a couple more, and you start to maybe slip or let the game slip away, but they're down 3,000 gold at this point. That is not a lot 25 minutes in, and Copenhagen Wolves, well, Kautar particularly, he's been actually giving away a lot of kills for the sake of his team, which is kind of surprising, but Youngbuck, he's been making those really work for him. Almost has that Randuin's Omen done. He has the Summon Fire Cave and the Spirit Visage. He's going to be able to split push very well if they do decide to send him over there, and with the cooldown reduction, he's going to be able to ult into these team fights a lot more often.
I think a lot of the problem here is that Youngbuck is the man with 7 kills right now. The next highest is Reckless with just 2. So if they'd have been spread out, if Kassadin, had, let's say, 2 more of those kills to put him at 3-2-9 right now, then he'd be feeling a lot stronger to be pushing in there, and would be a lot stronger on paper as well. Right now, KMT starting off the Dragon. Is Shook going to try and get in there for the Smite on this one? Both junglers do have Smite available, and in the end, KMT going to take down their second of the game pretty much for free.
That's a very great response by them, because they knew what Dragon was going to be available. It looks like they could potentially go for a 5-man push on this middle turret, and right now, no one at Copenhagen Wolves is really in position to stop this. Reckless is still in base. They should do back away instead.
Now, that was an interesting choice. I mean, Kautar had come down, so obviously a little bit worried about him. He's now got that Archangel staff added in to his Rod of Ages from earlier. Now, Kautar has himself a blue as well as Reckless, who's also sat on a blue and going to have a red in a moment.
I think what's really scary right now is the pass the AD carries are taking in terms of items. The Silver is going that Blade of the Rune King and that Fenrir Dancer combo, and then most likely a Last Whisper next. On the other side, you have Reckless, who has the Infinity Edge and the Blade of the Rune King. And the thing is, in a team fight, he can hit multiple people. And that's just a plain fact that Celebar cannot do. Like, he could not match him in terms of DPS. He can probably match him in terms of 1v1ing someone. But right now, Wolves, they have a very strong team fight. Even though Reckless doesn't have the 7 kills, still has 2 under his belt, and as long as he can line up that spray and pray against, 3 pretty squishy targets like KMT, then they're going to do really well.
Now, Reckless, of course, has the most farm in the entire game right now at 238. That's almost 40 CS more than his opposite number there. Celeber on Vayne, as we see Kassadin coming towards Karthus. Oracle running here as well for Unlimited. And this is the thing, Celeber is miles away right now. If the Copenhagen Wolves get control of this jungle and decide to go straight in for it, for the Baron, obviously, I mean with that, then he's nowhere near this one, Celeber. They're without their probably their strongest man when it comes to DPS.
And this is a problem that KMT had yesterday. Like, when they had the lead, they were really hesitant to go for Baron, and right now they're going to be forced to pretty much face check into the entire team of Copenhagen Wolves with still Youngblood pushing that bottom lane. They're leaving him alone, and Wolves, as long as they keep doing this, just keep baiting out the whole team of KMT to this top side, it allows Youngblood to keep getting even stronger and to keep applying pressure in this bottom lane.
Well, looking to make a bit of a positional play. As I say that, they just back away. I thought they were going to go in for this middle outer turret that they weeded down to about a quarter of its health a little bit earlier on, deciding against that one there. As Celiva now going to give chase here towards Youngblood, but is he going to be able to bring this Shen down? There is a Blade of the Ruin King coming out, and Youngblood he's probably going to be forced to back away completely from this. Celiva not able to get in the kill. The fact is, the Copenhagen Wolves have started off Baron with that one, with that main beam down at bottom, just as I predicted earlier on. There's a hook coming in towards 760 as well. They turn, they're going to lock him up with the Cataclysm. He's not escaping this one. Reckless will pick up that kill. Has that bought enough time though for Vayne to get involved, as we are going to see the Wolves picking up the Baron, and now Zazas is right in the middle of him. He's a dead man. Rest of the team has already backed off, and the Wolves picking up 2 kills, but more importantly, the first Baron of the game.
And the thing is, this is what Wolves have been doing this entire game. They've been pulling people to where Youngbuck is going, then they take an objective off of that. It worked a little bit earlier on top lane when he got killed, being dove by 760 and Zazas. They took the middle turret, but now taking a Baron from that, now they're going to be aggressive. They're going to push these turrets down, and that one's going to go down for sure. The next one most likely as well, since we still have 25 seconds left on Zazas.
Long way from being back into the action is Zazas, and without that Renekton, they lose a lot of damage, a lot of tankiness. As Super raises Crescendo a mile away there, and he's going to get finished off, pays the price for that one. There is that inhibitor turret, and the Copenhagen Wolves now 30 seconds until Sona comes up. We will be seeing that Renekton joining back into the battle. I imagine his bottom lane is the target for them. Minions are about halfway down the map, but that inner turret is there for the taking.
And Joe, just take a look at how much gold each person has right now in the Copenhagen Wolves. It is ridiculous. Right now you're sitting on 3,000 gold on the Kautar. You're sitting on pretty much 1,500 gold-ish if you want to average it out. You have 2,400 on the Reckless. Like, the carries who haven't been getting the kills have a huge amount of gold to spend. I mean, look right now between the mid lane and the bot laner. They're pretty much dead even in gold overall.
Yeah, that's it's kind of scary.
Very scary.
These are the players that obviously have been singled out time and time again. Reckless in particular is often a focus for a lot of teams here that come up against the Copenhagen Wolves, and he's slowly but surely worked himself up now to 3-0-5. A scary position for any AD carry to be in. He's way ahead in terms of the CS. Got that Phantom Dancer now added into both his Infinity Edge and the Infinity Edge and his Blade of the Ruin King. We've also just seen the Rabadon's Death Cap being picked up for Kautard, also Xerath's Embrace and the Rod of Ages as well. That is where this Kassadin now becomes incredibly hard to deal with.
Especially for Selvar, who hasn't been able to build any magic resist just yet. And
yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, 760, he hasn't really been making very many ganks happen, at least in the early game. He did gank bottom once, but he's playing like a passive kind of jungler, not a super aggressive one right now, and that's kind of been the downside. But right now we see the engage on the Zazas.
Yeah, we are going to see Shen coming into this one as well. He gets a good taunt across 2 of them. Unlimited going to drop down as well. The Lantern brought in there for the shield. They don't get the hook onto 760, but they've got the slow onto him. He flashes away, gets taunted up there. Double kill coming out now for Reckless. Super Ace, super squishy. He goes down. That is another kill going to be picked up for Kautard. And honestly, the Copenhagen Wolves could win the game right here.
Yeah, all they need to worry about is Overpower and Selvar, but they're squishy. They're easy to take down and be dove on by this entire composition. Youngblood has so much armor, he doesn't even care about the turrets that they do dive in.
Yeah, they're going to go for this one. They're going to take the fight right underneath those Nexus turrets. Reckless gets himself another one there. Requiem going to come out, but honestly, it's just not enough at this stage of the game. The Nexus turrets are going to fall, and the Copenhagen Wolves going to take the game 1 here of the grand final and make one step closer to the LCS Spring Split for Season 4.
I don't know about you, Joe, but that was very easy for them, it seemed. Like, they didn't really have a tough time throughout that game. They were able to just take them down step by step. They were able to punish KMT for every decision they made, and that's the kind of thing you need to see out of a team that has the hopes of being in the LCS next split.
Not a perfect game for them, but honestly, it wasn't too far away from it. It wasn't too far away from it whatsoever, but it is a best of 3 game, so it's not over. They've not done the work just yet. They've made that step, and we always talk about it in a best of 3, that winning game number 1 gives you so much more comfort. It allows you then to have a possibility of 2 games to pick up victory with. But KMT, they've got to keep their spirits high in this one. They've got to pretty much just forget about game number 1 to a certain, to a certain length. They can't obviously completely forget about it because the Copenhagen Wolves probably command maybe a couple of bans there. Kassadin in particular is one for me that if someone's strong with a Kassadin, you generally don't want to face it because they will destroy you.
And the thing is, they had the red side, they had the ability to take that one, and yet we didn't see it bend out of KMT.
Yeah.
And I look at this, you win the first game, does it apply more pressure to you for the Wolves to know that you're 1 game away from getting into the promotion tournament, or does it make it easier for KMT to realize, last game we could lose this one, we could just pull out something crazy here and try to take this game back?
Well, it piles on the pressure for KMT. That's the one thing I can definitely tell you from this one. They need to win 2 games in a row now against the Copenhagen Wolves, who've looked very, very impressive so far throughout this weekend. But we're going to head over to Kobe and Quickshot to take a quick look back at that last game.
Thank you very much, guys. That was a brilliant game from the Copenhagen Wolves.
I really, really enjoyed that game. It was such a clear game, displaying 2 very distinct playstyles.
Well, let's go right back to the beginning. During the course of picks and bans, Joe was mentioning it right at the end. The Kassadin into the Karthus is a pick that the Copenhagen Wolves were very happy and comfortable with.
So Copenhagen Wolves said before, they wanted to counterpick Overpow, and they did just that. They had the red side, they saved it till the last pick, they used Kassadin, and then in-game, they kept the lane swaps up to keep Kassadin after level 6 against Karthus.
Yeah, and it was something that the Copenhagen Wolves were happy to do. They're continuing through the champions around. We were talking about some of the influential plays. The first blood was a double kill because Kauto was able to hit level 6. They got the Stand United down and set them up. But that's not the first replay we want to talk. We want to talk about a double kill that happened a little bit later on, around 7 odd minutes in the bottom lane. So Kobe, talk me through this one.
So this one was all brought about by the lane swaps that Copenhagen Wolves were able to do to keep Kassadin at the same farm as Karthus early game. And then he shoves Karthus after he's level 6. This is where Karthus is really countered by Kassadin, and it bought him the time to recall and then teleport bottom. They did a really good job also timing that with the Shen Stand United. So they comboed both of their globals to take out the bottom lane, grabbing a double kill, which also turned into a dragon for them. So they used that Kassadin post-level 6 aggression on Karthus to make this entire play happen.
And it wasn't the first time they'd done it. We were really talking about the fact that Kassadin was running teleport, the fact they had Shen on their side as well. Copenhagen Wolves tended to not do anything unless they had those available, and then they made really good use of that global presence.
So those are the 2 distinct playstyles that I was talking about. It's a team fight, pure team fight composition here for KMT, whereas Copenhagen Wolves are going to make use of their mobility. They are teleport Kassadin and their Shen. That also plays into their late game, which is the next clip that we want.
So as we rolled through the game a little bit further, things were fairly tight in the mid game. There wasn't a significant lead for Copenhagen Wolves, but I want to highlight a couple of fights before we get to our next replay. Around 20 odd minutes, KMT managed to get a good team fight win in the mid lane. Then they overcommitted to a tower dive, which cost them. And for the next 3 to 4 minutes, they just kept seemingly throwing themselves at the Wolves.
So they played right into the playstyle that Kassadin loves. Kassadin is all about chasing down people for kills. He's so mobile with that Rift Walk that when KMT make those dives and they overextend themselves, he's the best assassin at coming to clean them up. You could see him teleporting in with home guards as well, which just made it all that much more easy.
Well, let's jump into the next fight now that we've set up the mid game a little bit more. It is in and around the Baron pit. It was something that, it worked out in favor of the Wolves.
So this one started out because of the mobile composition that Copenhagen Wolves want. They baited the Vayne bottom to deal with the split pushing Shen, which allowed them to start this Baron and get it so low that KMT had no option but to rush in there. They sent their jungler first to try and go for the smite steal, but Wolves did the perfect thing where you turn around immediately, you take out the smite threat, once that's down, then you finish the Baron, and then they have complete control of the map. This was really just the nail in the coffin right there for KMT, and Copenhagen Wolves had it from then on.
So in terms of the gameplay, KMT seemed to have some good moves, but it seemed as though they got a little bit heated in their decision-making post 20 minutes. What should they be taking away from this particular match going into game 2 of the series?
Well, they went with the team fighting composition, but then they got spread out. They played right into Copenhagen Wolves' plan. The game plan all along was to spread out the map and then take advantage of the objectives that are furthest away from KMT's large threats. So they're going to have to either bring a more mobile comp or be able to force the fights themselves in confined spaces.
They're going to have to play to their composition strengths and weaknesses, basically. All right, guys, that basically wraps us up for us here on the analysis desk. We're going to be going to a short advert break, and when we return, KMT's manager, Tomislav Fly Mihailov, will be joining Shox to break down Team 1. Fly, of course, a well-versed team manager here in Europe. And for everybody that's actually here at Gamescom, stick around, guys. Game 2 of this best of 3 series is coming up shortly.